Then he said, the fourth stage is patience in facing harm. Patience in facing harm, this harm, as is commonly understood, does not occur except after the act of calling to Allah. Patience in facing harm comes after the call to Allah. Our scholars have said, if a person does not succeed in exercising patience in the first stage, which is seeking knowledge, they will not be able to endure harm in the path of calling to the religion of Allah, the Almighty. Therefore, patience in facing harm is required in the first stage, then the second, and finally the third. Whoever cannot endure patience in seeking knowledge will not be able to persevere in acting upon it, and hence, will not be capable of patience in calling to Allah's way. Such a person will never become a true caller to Islam. Thus, seeking knowledge serves as the first test of patience. There are those who endure this stage and those who fail. This is something observed and well known. Many people begin seeking knowledge, but within a very short period, they begin to grow weary and lose their commitment. Indeed, you will see how your numbers will dwindle in the coming weeks, months, or even sooner. The number of students will shrink to just a handful, countable on the fingers of one hand. This is the state of students of knowledge everywhere, not just in our time, as stated by the scholars. Therefore, there is always an emphasis on patience in seeking knowledge. Seeking knowledge requires immense patience. Sufyan al-Thawri said, if you give all of yourself to knowledge, it will give you some of itself, but if you give it only part of yourself, it will give you nothing. So, what if you give it nothing? What will it give you in return? Thus, true knowledge requires great patience. Similarly, patience is required in acting upon knowledge, whether in performing acts of obedience or abstaining from sins. Abstaining is an action, and performing is also an action, both require patience. If a person does not endure patience in abstaining from sins and performing acts of obedience, then these matters, all of which require immense patience, will remain unattainable. Whoever is patient in seeking knowledge and patient in acting upon it will likely succeed in achieving the third stage, patience in enduring harm while calling to Allah. As for the one who does not have patience in seeking knowledge or in acting upon obedience to Allah and abstaining from his disobedience, such a person does not deserve and is not qualified to endure the harm faced in calling to Allah, the Almighty. That's why the prophets, peace be upon them, exercised great patience in seeking knowledge and in acting upon it. This is what we have been taught by our prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, who would pray until his feet became cracked. How does that happen? First, the feet would swell, and then they would crack open. Despite this, he would continue to stand in prayer, peace be upon him. The companions would pity him, and even Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, felt compassion for him because of the pain and injuries he endured. Yet he would say, shall I not be a grateful servant? This is the patience required in acting upon knowledge. Likewise, he, peace be upon him, exercised patience in seeking knowledge by listening to and receiving revelation from Gabriel, peace be upon him, until he had acquired all the knowledge. This was a remarkable display of patience on his part. Thus, Allah chose him for prophethood because he knew of these noble ranks he had attained. For this reason, he endured immense patience in calling others to the religion of Allah, the Almighty.